Hi there, in today's recap, I will be explaining the anime, Triage X. Black Label is a secret organization founded by a surgeons tasked with eliminating people who spread crime and corruption through the city. These bad actors are dubbed as cancers. Their operation is headed from Mochizuki General Hospital. The team prepare for their next hit. Seidri sunbathes on the job while Tsurugi lies next to her ready to give sniper support to Mikoto and Arashi. They emerge from the back of the van on a bike racing towards Hideo's front door. Tsurugi clears the path for them while Hitsugi secures the route behind them. Inside, they shoot their way through his security, and eventually crash into Hideo's room. Arashi gives the mob boss a gun to terminate his own life. He tells the apparition of his childhood friend Ryu that he's testing human conscience. Hideo fails as he instead tries to headshot Arashi, which confirms there is no curing him, so he's instantly executed. The group make a swift exit as Oroha blows up the building to erase any evidence. Back at HQ, their boss, Dr. Mochizuki, commends them on a job well done before dismissing them. In the shower, Mikoto tries to confront Arashi on his antics with Hideo, but she is surprised to see the scars on his body. He explains that during the infamous bombing at a medical conference 9 years ago, he and Ryu survived, but they were both badly injured. Ryu had a head injury, so his own father Mochizuki labeled him a code black and used his son's limbs and heart to save Arashi. So, he's now compelled to examine the truth of the triages as he himself was born from one. After a long school day, Arashi receives another triage with the label color black. Meanwhile, Hideo's equally corrupt son, Taisei, alongside his accomplice Masaki, kidnap and torture a man and his daughter for attempting to betray them to the police. Detective Tatara walks in on the action to question them, but Arashi and Mikoto bust through the window, identifying Taisei as their target before eliminating him. This causes a huge gunfight to erupt. The detective gets in Arashi's way, which makes Masaki to kill the male hostage before escaping into the sewer, but Tatara manages to save the daughter before Oroha blows up the building. Later at Mochizuki Hospital, Tatara gets frustrated when he's not given access to question the daughter. Meanwhile, Seidri has all the time to question her thoroughly as she's a staff doctor, but they conclude she doesn't have any information. Later, at a Black Label team meeting, Mochizuki makes Arashi a full-fledged member of the group and also proceeds to create a new team comprised of Arashi, Mikoto and Oroha, naming it Ampule 1. This follows Ampule 0, comprised of Seidri, Tsurugi, and Hitsugi. Elsewhere, the recently discharged daughter gets kidnapped again by Masaki, so a triage alert is sent out to the teams. The mobster uses a drug to try to get her to talk, but they get no information. Meanwhile, the detective has also caught wind of the situation and infiltrates the building in which the girl is being held, but when he reaches her, he's stabbed by her as she's under the influence. Mikoto stumbles on his bleeding body but is soon surrounded by Masaki's men. They're ultimately saved by Arashi, who clears out the room. Concurrently, Team Ampule 0 has also mauled their way through their enemies, which gives the juniors the chance to finish off Masaki. They do their usual cleanup before leaving the scene. On a different night, Arashi and Mikoto are beaten to the kill by an unknown assassin who they are unable to catch. Meanwhile at HQ, Dr. Inunaki brings footage that could incriminate Black Label. As a show of gratitude, they pay him a hefty sum of money, but before he leaves, he alerts them on a big shipment of a new kind of drug coming into the city. After some research, they begin by targeting Yukio and Masaaki, who are important figures in Kabuto Group, in a double triage. Later at school, Mikoto befriends a new student named Chikage. They become closer after sharing some of their past trauma. Meanwhile, Hitsugi tails Dr. Inunaki while doing her investigations on the new drug. It leads her to some prominent gangsters who she ends up killing, but the doctor gets away. The new friends see a classmate getting harassed, so intervene by taking out the perpetrator. He drops his phone, and on the phone, there is a message outlining a hostage situation involving a girl they know. It also indicates the location of the remnants of Kabuto Group's drug activity. Mikoto takes the girl to the hospital while Chikage remembers she has something to do. She later makes a call relaying the newly found information to someone. Mikoto makes her way to the kidnap location where she's confronted by Kunio, brother to the recently killed Yukio. He has more hostages who have bombs strapped to them, so she's forced to fight him under his terms and gets stabbed in the leg. The hostages are then sent to hunt for her, but Chikage comes to rescue, revealing herself to be the assassin that poached their kill earlier. She blows up the hostages, which causes a fire in the warehouse. After that, she goes looking for Kunio to finish him off. Mikoto tries to follow, but is unable to move, so Arashi gives legs in the form of a bike. She uses it to knock Kunio into the fire, intercepting Chikage's kill. But it's later revealed that the doctor who saved a younger Chikage was the cause of her misery. He was only manipulating her to do his bidding. He's from another shadow organization named Syringe, but the doc is ultimately shot down when Arashi alley-oops a gun to Mikoto. Chikage throws herself into the fire after the devastating revelations. Team Ampule 1 take a small break, but there's no rest for Oraha as she's a famous pop star by day. Along with other performers, they have been booked for the grand opening of the new Neo TV building. But things soon start to go wrong as the building's power is cut off temporarily. During this interval, Oraha and the Mikazuki twins wander off, but when power is partly restored, the building has been infiltrated by Syringe. The strike team is being led by Siren in a wolf mask. They hijack the broadcast and execute one of the performers before declaring war on Black Label for killing the doctor. Oraha notices something is wrong when the surrounding buildings have power. Her suspicions are confirmed when they are attacked by a bear mascot wielding a machete, but the girls work together to defeat it. The police have already gathered around the premise to negotiate the hostages' release, but by this point, Siren has stripped down some ladies and promises to push them off the building if his demands are not met. Meanwhile, Oraha sees the situation unfold on a nearby TV. With a full grasp on the conditions, she prepares her offense. Mochizuki believes that Oraha can take care of the situation for now, so he asks her teammates to stand down. She begins by drawing them in with her singing as they come to attack. She sets off her bombs, killing them, but this brings more backup that pin her down with suppression fire. The twins come to the rescue, ambushing the shooters, but they are all ultimately captured when Siren enters the fight. With their main objective of bagging a Black Label member achieved, Syringe begin to make their getaway, but Arashi and Mikoto have been deployed just in time to intercept them. Arashi chases them into a dark section of the building. After a brief exchange, he eventually shoots Siren dead when she tries to mimic Oraha's voice to distract him. With threat alleviated, the police secure the building. A few days have passed. Arashi and Mikoto are on nocturnal duty when they encounter Dr. Inunaki, who tests them in a game of chicken. After which, it is revealed that he was a member of Ampule Zero, and was also the one who trained Arashi. He informs them that a huge shipment of the new drug, Platinum Lily, is about to dock into Tobaika Bay, but the cargo is protected by the Prime Minister Tobashiro because his son, Kyoji, is spearheading the deal. Inunaki advises his former student before leaving. Elsewhere, Team Ampule Zero are already at the port to intercept the drugs, but they are ambushed by members of Syringe who are also there to mess things up. Hitsugi fights against some twins who use the same fighting style as her. They ultimately beat her severely. Meanwhile, Seidri is kept occupied by Mr. Wild Hunt, but their battle is cut short when Tobashiro's men arrive. During all the chaos, Tsurugi manages to retrieve one of the packages from D before both groups split. Seidri radios back to the hospital to prepare for an emergency operation for Hitsugi. When they arrive, Arashi gets angry after seeing her in such a state, but he's calmed down by Mikoto's pillows. Their relaxation session is interrupted when they are summoned by their boss. He explains the contents of the package that Team Ampule Zero recovered. It happens to be one half of a deadly primitive medical technology that allows one to perform perfect transplant surgery. One half is a virus that allows the body to accept the new body part, but without the other half, which is the antidote, the patient dies. Dr. Mochizuki discovered it when he was on deployment, but brought it back to study and labeled it as D99. He created an elite team of doctors to research it, but they deemed it too dangerous, so destroyed most of their samples. The last batch known to them was used in the limb transplant done on Arashi. He takes the news well, even acknowledging his boss for saving his life. Meanwhile, Kyoji is scolded by his dad for messing up. Back at the hospital, Hitsugi wakes up and breaks out of her room, which triggers an alarm. The team is alerted that she's in critical shape as her chronic illness that was in remission has resurfaced. Her comrades equip themselves with non-lethal weapons to prevent her leaving the underground level as she's on a rampage. Ampule 1 encounter her but are easily overpowered. Seidri arrives just in time before she does any real damage to them. They fight briefly, but Arashi interrupts Seidri and lures Hitsugi into the lower levels, promising to bring her back to her senses. While they seal her off, Dr. Mochizuki reveals that Hitsugi was used in D99 experiments when they found her. She had killed the researchers and was ultimately neutralized by Seidri. Meanwhile, Arashi calms Hitsugi down with a show of compassion, reminding her of their past together and how she helped in his physical rehabilitation. This breaks her from her mental bondage, allowing her to recall the truth about her past. The team walk in on her planning one on Arashi to everyone's surprise, but Mikoto is especially salty to the point of fainting. Back at Syringe HQ, they plan to kill Detective Tatara as he's doing his job a little too well. The Murasaki twins try to ambush Suzue, the detective's assistant, but they are interrupted by Tobashiro's men, who tranquilize and kidnap her for themselves. As they escape, one of the twins hit the car with a tracker. Upon arrival, Kyoji's right-hand woman, Goryu, begins to torture her for information. Meanwhile, Black Label's police informant alerts them of the situation. They manage to track her location and deploy. Upon arrival, Oraha blows the front gate, signaling their raid. As the team moves, they are intercepted by Syringe, who have also appeared. Hitsugi has a rematch with the twins and easily defeats them. Simultaneously, Arashi gets to Suzue first. Mr. Wild Hunt drops down and knocks Hitsugi back. He signals for the twins to retreat since their mission was a failure. Suzue is rushed to Mochizuki Hospital where she undergoes treatment, but Tatara rages about not being allowed to see his partner. Dr. Mochizuki ponders on the location of the second half of the deadly D99 virus as they plan their next move. In the interim, Mikoto and Arashi receive a triage label color red, so the duo set off on the target, resulting in a car chase. They untimely apprehend their target when Arashi shoots the oil tank, which brings the car to a halt, saving the hostage in the car. While Mikoto takes the victim to hospital, Arashi decides to walk back after the mission to review the events that has led to this point. This brings the show to an end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.